hypothesis, hemiosmotic hypothesis. This is the structure of thylakoid lumen, and this is outside, that is stroma. This membrane of this thylakoid having pigment system 1, 2, this proton channel as well as ATPase enzyme. Now, when the water splitting takes place in the lumen of this thylakoid, it releases hydrogen ion or proton. The electron will move out and it will be compensated by the H plus ion. Proton present on the outer side will enter inside the lumen, results in accumulation of hydrogen ion. Due to that, inside the lumen and outside, because outside it is less and inside it is more concentrated, that's why a proton gradient is created. When this proton will move through this channel of ATPase enzyme, which is located in the thylakoid membrane, it will synthesize ADP plus IP into the ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. At the same time, NADPH will be reduced into NADPH plus. For that, in the stroma, one enzyme is there known as NADPH reductase enzyme, which will result in the reduction of NADP into NADPH. Now, this phenomena, chemiosmotic hypothesis, requires a membrane, proton pump and proton gradient, that is difference of proton across the membrane of this thylakoid. Now, one enzyme, that is ATPase enzyme as well as the NADPH reductase enzyme. In this way, we can see that ATP and NADPH are produced in this process, and that will help in the process of dark reaction. So, dark reaction will include or use this ATP as well as NADPH. Now, in this chapter, we have discussed about the light reaction and dark reaction in which the ATP were synthesized. Now, this topic is about the chemiosmosis. Now, chemiosmosis is the process for making ATP, and it occurs due to the help of the enzyme ATP synthetase as well as the proton ions, H plus ions. This these are some steps in chemiosmosis, that is, here the hydrogen ion or the proton gradient is created by using the electron transport chain, and that means the inner wall of the lumen of this thylakoid and outer side of the thylakoid, that is in the stroma. And when the gradient is created, hydrogen or proton gradient is created, then there is high amount of proton inside the membrane, whereas in the matrix it is low. That is why the gradient is created. Now, this due to that, this hydrogen ion will diffuse through ATP synthetase enzyme, which is spins in. Now, during this movement of this hydrogen ion through this enzyme, that is ATP synthetase, the ATP will synthesize by addition of this, the phosphate, inorganic phosphate will combine with ADP, that is adenosine diphosphate, to produce ATP, and this is known as the process of chemiosmosis, and ATP synthesis takes place. Enzyme is ATP synthetase or ATP synthase. It looks like a vase shaped structure. This slide is showing the structure of the lumen of thylakoid membrane as well as the stroma, in which the chemiosmosis takes place. This is the lumen of thylakoid membrane, in which pigment system 1, 2 and cytochrome are there, B and F, and here the proton gradient will come through this cytochrome, it will enter into the lumen and create the proton gradient. Then it will move through this ATP synthetase enzyme, which is present in this membrane, towards the stroma. During this phenomena, ADP combine with inorganic phosphate to produce ATP, and this is the process of chemiosmosis.
This is photorespiration. The event occurs in the photosynthesis. Sometimes we know that in C3 cycle, that is Kelvin cycle, carbon CO2 combined with RuBp to synthesize 3 carbon compound, that is 3-PGA, in which the enzyme catalyzed, that is known as Rubisco. Rubisco has dual role, that is carboxylation reaction as well as oxygenation reaction. But sometimes this oxygenation in C3 cycle combined with this enzyme, and now the enzyme will start oxygenation reaction, and it will decrease the fixation of carbon dioxide, and in place of PGA it will start making synthesizing phosphoglycolate. At the same time, no ATP and NADPH is synthesized. This photorespiration involves 3 organelles, that is chloroplast, peroxisome and mitochondria, that will discuss through the diagram how the components take place, synthesis takes place, they move, transported from chloroplast to peroxisome, then mitochondria, and again the cycle will continue. This photorespiration is a wasteful process because here all the about 25% of carbon dioxide is not fixed. At the same time, no ATP and NADPH is synthesized, and hence it is known as the wasteful process. But in C4 cycle, this photorespiration not takes place, and so the 100% carbon dioxide is fixed. Now we will discuss the role of chloroplast, peroxisome and mitochondria in the process of photorespiration through the diagram.
This slide is showing the phenomena of photorespiration. Photorespiration is a special feature which occur in the C3 plants mainly, and here it becomes a problem for the plant which found in the water stress, because here water is lost in this process. When the plants are under water stress, then stomata closed. When stomata closed due to prevent the water loss by the process of this transpiration, and that is why the gaseous exchange also becomes less. Now here oxygen is still being produced through the light reaction, thus the concentration of oxygen is increasing, and CO2 is not entering the leaf due to the closing of the stomata, and thus the CO2 is being used up in the Kelvin cycle and not replenished, because the O2 is only there, the CO2 is not coming inside, and the concentration of CO2 is decreasing, and hence this process is known as photorespiration. Photorespiration is light dependent process, that means uptake of molecular oxygen and concomitant with release of CO2 from organic compound. During oxygen fixation, one molecule of PGA, that is phosphoglyceric acid, and one molecule of 2-phosphoglycolate are formed, and the latter is converted back to PGA, that is in this process, that is photorespiratory cycle. Here it creates two problems also, because it does not produce cellular energy in the form of ATP and NADPH, as well as it does not produce energy rich molecules like glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, reducing CO2 efficiency. Instead, photorespiration uses ATP and NADPH, making it an energy wasteful process. So, because ATP and NADPH is not produced, but it is consumed, that is why it is energy wasteful process also. This slide is showing the steps of photorespiration, the process of photorespiration, which involves 3 parts of the flower, that is chloroplast, peroxisome and mitochondria. This starts with RuBp, that is ribulose bisphosphate. When oxygen is entering in this system, these two will combine to form the structure phosphoglycolate and PGA, that is phosphoglyceric acid. Now these converted into glycolate. This glycolate is now transported in the peroxisome, where it will convert it into glycine through glyogylate and H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide. The end product is glycine, which glycine, now this glycine will be transported in the mitochondria. Here ammonia is released, CO2 is released, then NAD will be converted into NADH, and this glycine will converted into serine. Now this serine will transported back in the peroxisome, and this will converted into glyceric acid or glycerate through hydroxypyruvate, and here NADH is utilized and converted into NAD. Now this glyceric acid or glycerate is transported in the chloroplast, where ATP is consumed and converted into ADP to convert it into PGA, that is phosphoglyceric acid. This phosphoglyceric acid will now be converted into RUBP, that is ribulose bisphosphate. Again this RUBP combined with oxygen to form glycolate, and then it will transported to this peroxisome, converted into glycine. This glycine is converted into serine. Now this serine is transported back to peroxisome to convert it into glyceric acid. Now this glyceric acid again transported to this chloroplast to continue this cycle, and this is the steps of photorespiration. These three structures are involved in this process, that is chloroplast, mitochondria and peroxisome.
We are discussing about the factors affecting rate of photosynthesis. Blackman's law of limiting factors, given in 1905, according to this law, when more than one factors are affecting any reaction, then the factor which is slowest or lowest in quantity, that will become the limiting. For example, in case of photosynthesis, the factors which affecting rate of photosynthesis, that is light, temperature, CO2 concentration, water, etc. Then which one of this factor will be in the lowest quantity or slowest, that will decide the rate of photosynthesis. Now there are two types of factors, extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic, that is given from outside, that is light, temperature, CO2 concentration, substrate concentration, water, etc. Whereas intrinsic factor or genetic factors are the size and shape of the leaf, type of stomata. These are the intrinsic factors. So all of these are responsible for the rate of reaction. Now light, which type of light, intensity of light, color of light of spectrum, all these things will decide the rate of the photosynthesis. Only 10% of the light is utilized in the photosynthesis. Temperature, there are two types of plants, C3 plants and C4 plants, and all are responding towards the temperature in different way. Like in C4 plants, they respond to the higher temperature, whereas C3 plants respond to the lower temperature, and after the optimum, when it reaches to the optimum, after then it will decline, the rate of photosynthesis will decline. At the same time, whatever the factor which is slowest will determine the rate of the photosynthesis. Now in the same way, CO2 concentration, that is concentration of carbon dioxide, when the carbon dioxide will increase in concentration, in the beginning the rate of photosynthesis will increase, but after then it becomes slow, because due to the other factors which are slowest or lowest in quantity, they will decide the rate of the photosynthesis. As well, at the same time, CO2 concentration, in that case C3 plants and C4 plants are responding in different way. Now water availability in the soil, that is also one of the factor for the rate of photosynthesis, and the availability of water will become the deciding factor sometimes, when suppose it is lowest in quantity and other factors are there, but due to this lowest factor, water, that is low in low quantity, water will decide the rate of photosynthesis. So in this way we can see that different factors, all of them are responsible for the rate of photosynthesis, that we will see through this slide also.
Slide is showing about the factors. There are some factors which help in the process of photosynthesis, they affect the rate of the photosynthesis, and these factors are light intensity, the type of light, the level of CO2, temperature, etc. So, these are the factors which determine the rate of photosynthesis. Blackman's law tells that when any phenomena is occurred or controlled by some particular factors, then separate factors, then the rate of process will be controlled or limited by the factor which is slowest. For example, if the availability of CO2, temperature and other things are good, but water is less in there, then the rate will be controlled by water. That means whatever the factor which is in the less or the less quantity or limited, then that will only determine the rate of the photosynthesis. The rate of the photosynthesis will be determined by any factor. If separate factors are there, then it will be controlled by the factor which is less in quantity or limited. Now, this graph is showing the rate of photosynthesis about the light intensity, that the factor is light. When the light intensity is increases, then the rate of photosynthesis will increase, but at optimum light, this optimum level, then it will become stable, it will not increase now. In the same way, in the case of CO2 concentration also, because in the beginning it will increase with the increasing this CO2 quantity, but then the other factors become limiting and then it becomes limited, it will not increase now, because when CO2 concentration is increasing, but other factors becomes less, they will be limiting. Now, rate of photosynthesis in case of temperature, in the beginning it will go up, that is it will increase. After the peak, that optimum level, it will decline, because by increasing the temperature, due to the increase in temperature, stomata or the other cells may become damaged or the enzyme activity go down. In this way, the rate will go down. Here in this diagram also we can see the CO2 concentration is increasing here, that is why the rate of photosynthesis is also increasing. But after that, from here it will not increase, because the other factors like sunlight or temperature may become the limiting factor. Here also rate of photosynthesis, this light intensity, we can see here that photosynthesis is limited by some other factor such as enzymes, although the temperature is increasing. Or so here low concentration of CO2, high concentration of CO2, high concentration of CO2, here both are high, that is temperature as well as concentration of CO2, that is why it becomes more. Here because high concentration of CO2 is there, but temperature is low, that is why that this rate of photosynthesis is less. Here low concentration of CO2 and low temperature, that is why the rate of photosynthesis is less. So, these three are comparing each other, but that means all the factors should be in high quantity, then only the rate will increase. When we are increasing only one factor, then other factors becomes limiting and the rate of photosynthesis will not increase.